Right now, of course, we're joined by our guests. We have Dan Bzura and Dave Gorgon from the Junior League World Series. Junior League World Series is held at Heritage Park in Taylor every year. This is 33rd annual year, and runs this year August 11th through the 17th. Guys, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about your roles in the tournament, how you got started. Dan, if you'd like to go.
Thanks for having us. My dad has actually been the tournament director since this started back in '81. It's pretty much been a family affair. My mom, prior to her passing, my brothers and I, been little leaguers all our life, and when the tournament started, we all jumped in, and 33 years later, we're still at it.
Now, Dave, Greg told me, of course, Dan's father, that you've been with the tournament since its inception?
Off and on, yes. I was actually working for the local newspaper when it started, and we gave him a bunch of coverage. And now that I'm one of the volunteers, I've been volunteering for, 20 years or so, helping out with the communications. And thank you for having us here. I mean, communications is how we wound up here, I think, today.
Yeah, I'd talked to somebody on the Facebook page, whoever the admin is named. Oh, it was you, okay,
Right.
Okay. And, well, you gave me Greg's phone number, and here we are. So, you guys, so you volunteer, and it's mostly staffed through volunteers, correct?
100% volunteers.
Okay.
There's no paid positions. You're talking about a group of 100 to 200 local volunteers that band together each year to put this on. There's all kind of great stories about guys that maybe get 1 or 2 weeks of vacation from work every year, and they dedicate that time to the Junior League World Series. It's people that have a passion for youth sports and have a passion for community, and we come together every year and put this on and do what we can to not only have a good baseball tournament, but put Taylor in the Downriver area in a good national spotlight.
One of the things that's always impressed me about the tournament is just knowing some of the history and some of the struggles that they had to go through to put the tournament on. And could you talk a little bit about the fire in 1988 that burned down the press box? Was it 3 months before the tournament was set to begin?
We sort of call that the Little League miracle, which is incredible that there was arson fire that burned down the press box, which not only serves as a press box, but also serves as the dugout area for the teams. That's where they sit in, and the umpire room and all that. And there was a big fire, and the community got together, and we got donations of materials from businesses. People came from not only Taylor, but all over the surrounding communities to pitch in and got it built. I believe it was the day before opening day that it was finally usable and passed all the city inspections and all that. And it's that was probably one of the darkest times and one of the brightest times in our tournament's history.
Now, then in 2003, we of course had the Blackout, and that was one of the rare years. It may be the only year I didn't get to go since I've been going, and it was because of the Blackout. And I've always been curious, what happened? How did the tournament go off that year? Did you use generators, or?
We had to cancel. It was at least one and maybe more games. We weren't able to play in the evening, and
Postponed them.
Delayed them until the next day. And when you're trying to fit all these teams in, they're coming in from international locations, airfare, hotels. There's a certain time frame, and to lose an entire day or an entire evening really puts the schedule back. But not being able to play at night, we did what good volunteers do, and we improvised, and we were able to move on, shorten the schedule, play more day games, and get the tournament in on time.
Now, let me ask you guys, you mentioned the international teams, and that's always been one of the cool things about this tournament is we have teams coming from all over the world. Can you talk a little bit about what that's like, the sort of flavor that brings to the tournament?
Well, that really helped put the tournament on the map. What happened is that in the beginning, the World Series was only for 13-year-olds, and it kind of limited the amount of teams you could draw. Eventually, they expanded it to include 14-year-olds, so we had 13 and 14-year-old players, which really opened it up to foreign nations that wanted to come and participate and just needed a bigger player pool. A few years ago, we started getting a team from Chinese Taipei. They'll be back this year. We need interpreters for people that understand Chinese. We need to get the anthem correct for the nation that comes. We play their anthem before the start of the games, in opening ceremonies, which by the way will be August 10th, and that includes fireworks, and it's a good time, and everybody's welcome to come. And that's a free day, so please join us. This year we have Puerto Rico, so we're going to have somebody that speaks Spanish. We're going to have somebody from Czech Republic. and somebody else from Latin America. It'll either be Aruba or
I think Curacao.
Curacao, yes. And then a Canadian team and 5 American teams.
Wow.
And that's the current structure. We've got the U.S. pool, 5 teams, international 5 teams, and they each crown a winner, and then the championship game.
Correct.
But it wasn't always that way. You talk a little bit about when the tournament structure changed and why.
Back when we started in '81, it was, the 13-year-old division was new in Little League Baseball, and Taylor was one of the first Little Leagues in the entire country to have it. And that first World Series was basically 4 U.S. teams competing for what was called the World Championship. But over time, as this 13-year-old division took off, more and more states, more and more countries started participating, and it allowed us to grow the tournament to the point where, you're correct, we now have a true U.S. champion, a true international champion that will compete for that World Championship. So it was really the success of the program starting back, I think I played in the junior division back in '79 before we even had a World Series, but the growth of that program, what we helped start in Taylor and what kind of spread throughout the world has allowed the program to grow to where now 10 teams are competing on an annual basis.
Now, Dan, your father mentioned Junior League World Series book that you guys add pages to every year. And this is it right here.
Right here.
Now, is that one of a kind, or is that something that's distributed to people?
It's a piece that we put together for a variety of reasons. One is to explain the history of the program. Each year the teams coming in will have their picture, their name in it. It has all the tournament records, and it also serves as an advertising tool. There's a number of area businesses that like to support the program through purchasing advertising in this book. So each year we'll produce a new book with updated stats, updated totals, new advertising, and of course pictures from the teams participating in that year's tournament.
And let me ask you guys, the tournament has grown, become larger, and in many ways it's sort of it's a launching pad for some of these young athletes to move on to college and professional careers. Can you talk a little bit about some of the athletes who have gone on to Major League Baseball or other sports?
Glad to. That's a pretty exciting part of it. We have like returning heroes. We have these guys become legends, really, of the World Series. The very first year we had the World Series, it was won by a team from Boardman, Ohio. And one of their players was named Mark Pellini, but he has a nickname named Bo Pellini, and he's currently the head football coach at Nebraska.
Oh.
The next year, the World Series was won by a team from Tampa that had both Gary Sheffield and Derek Bell, who both went on after they were 13 at the time,
Right.
and both went on, of course, to long and successful major league teams. We have so many guys that have done that. In fact, one of the teams was 2 brothers, Jose and Javier Valentin, played from Puerto Rico, and we're happy to say that Puerto Rico is coming back this year, and we expect Jose Valentin. He's given us a head up. He's going to come back, and he had a really long career in the majors as well. So many different players, and not only baseball. As I mentioned, we had Bo Pellini. We've had a couple guys that went on to NHL careers.
Wow.
They played for Canada when they were here, and they went on to pro careers in the NHL. Yeah.
Matt Castle, NFL quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
I think Eric Bedard, who's still pitching in the major league. So yeah, these kids tend to excel at everything they participate in. So it's not surprising they may play in a Junior League World Series, but go on to the NFL or the NHL or success in some other sport.
Now, let me move on. A little serious topic, not too serious. Obviously, in recent events, we've seen the Ryan Braun scandal just breaking in Major League Baseball. PED use has been big in baseball and a lot of sports. You guys get to work with these young kids. What do you say to them to sort of discourage them from going down that road and taking that shortcut to success?
Well, as fun as it is to discuss the players that we just named, the tournament really is about everyone else. Those for every Gary Sheffield, there's 1,000 kids that their athletic experience may end in junior high or high school. So that's really what the tournament's about, and what we strive for is to put on a good tournament, to have fun, to do your best to win, but things like sportsmanship and That really comes out every year in the tournament, this international flavor where some of these kids might be leaving their home state or their home country for the first time, and part of the experience of being at the World Series, not just to try and win the World Championship, but get to meet people and get to do things and experience life situations that they truly will carry on for their lifetime.